Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And I hope you're all doing well wherever you are, enjoying today and every day of the week and your family and everything else under the sun. It's so good to see you all here. And we always enjoy our shows and bring just interesting conversations, ideas, tools, techniques, strategies, everything that we can possibly think of that will help free us up from wherever, from whatever we are involved with. And, it's just our little way of doing a little something on this planet. So before we get started with our show, I want to say hello. I'm Nan. Hello.
Hello, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
Fine.
How was your weekend?
Weekend was great.
Mine was so busy. I had
You launched?
huh?
Did you launch?
I launched, let me start with Friday. My 4-year-old grandson graduated from preschool.
Aw.
Yeah, he's going to kindergarten. And then Saturday night, he was in a dance recital and he was in 3 dances and he's got real curly hair and he was adorable. And then yesterday was my book launch for the Millennial book, which I'll tell you all about later. But yeah, we had a big panel of millennials and it was at one point, the gentleman who's helping me do some promotion turned around and said, Marilyn, they're so good, you don't even have to be up there. And I said, well, that's the perfect thing, is that you pick a really good panel and there's a really great discussion that they're generating and your audience is generating, and you don't have to do anything but leave. It was great. So it was a lot of fun. And also, I'm wearing a special T-shirt today because a group of people here in Raleigh, North Carolina, have volunteered to create a project, and it's called the Sidewalk Listening Project. Sidewalk Listening. And we, once a month, go somewhere in Raleigh, Cary, and we go on the street and we just listen. And I just wanted to show you. I am here to hear you. And that is our shirt. And soon we will have a website up and all that kind of good stuff. So if you're in the area and this is of interest to you and you want to be a volunteer, you want to listen and just let me know. You can write to Marilyn at marilynshannon.com. We're looking forward to the next Saturday, which is going to be on the 29th of June, going to an assisted living. And that should be really, really cool. So just reach out to me if you want to know more about this project. So on with our show. So today we have a very dear friend of mine who I love having on. She's creative. She's spunky. She has wonderful things always going on. She's creating opportunities wherever she goes. Elizabeth Galecke is this extraordinary photographer, and she's just wonderful. Look at her.
Aw.
Say hi to
Thank you.
Elizabeth, everybody.
I love being here, even if I'm shaking in my shoes.
So we were just talking about that because the last time Elizabeth was on, there was a snowstorm.
Yep.
And my husband and I went to pick her up to bring her to the show when she was actually like almost praying. We couldn't get
that
there,
would
right?
slide down the driveway and get stuck.
And she wouldn't have to come. And then today she says yes, but she is nervous about being here, but she's brilliant. And so,
Well, thank you.
but she's doing it anyway, which is, that's something for us all to reflect on because you're nervous being here today. Wished it would snow in June. And I was nervous yesterday doing my book launch. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you do something, right?
Sometimes it gets easier, but if I find one-on-one with no cameras, I can talk to anyone, but put a camera in front of my face instead of me being behind it, I get super nervous. So
for me, it's not the camera. It's not the microphone. Sometimes it's just something, but once you get into the groove,
right.
You just take it on and you feel the energy of people around and you go for it.
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
We love it. And so we love you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love being here. Really.
And we feel I feel your energy out there every time I'm here.
Oh, thank you.
You know?
Wow.
And so it's great. And I feel your energy and I feel your participation and the fact that you're here and it's all good. So remember, anytime during the show, you are welcome to call in to 919-518-9773 anytime you want. If you have a question, a comment, whatever. And also you can come in on Skype, and that is computers, that's plural, then the number 2K voice. You will come in on Skype voice, and you can do that again anytime you want. You can come into our chat and ask questions, comment, whatever you like there as well. So just put your name under our video, under us, and you will come in there and we will see you and we will love to engage and ask, see what you're up to. So, Elizabeth
Yes.
to talk a little bit about your photography first.
Sure. I have had a photography business for over 20 years in Raleigh. I went to school for photography, and even back in school, I had two different loves. One love being people and families and children and documenting them in their real life. And then this kind of quieter side of landscape. I always call them vignettes, like very like small little vignettes of landscapes, not wide open, but just little pieces of nature. And so I've been doing a little bit of both. And a couple years ago, I started a project called Eyes Wide Open, which was the last time I was on the show, which was really fun. And it's about noticing what's in your daily life every day. And I photograph it, whether it's fog or snow or rain, kind of how the different environments and weather change your environment. So you might see it on a sunny day and it looks the same every day, but then it rains and there's these beautiful droplets and the light coming from underneath or to the side. So I've been working on that project, and then just kind of lots of different things have been opening up through that.
So Eyes Wide Open was a phenomenal project, and just a representation of what is possible for us in our daily lives, and being mindful of the small things that are around us, or big things, but everything is small and big at the same time. So
Right.
who can, you can't measure it, but to be aware of just the detail around you and the colors and just the relationships that you have with individuals and all of these things. Your eyes are a lens, right?
Yeah. And it was fun because I went on a walk with a friend this morning, and we walked and she stopped and she looked down, and I didn't see it, but she saw the smallest tiny snail that it was just, I don't even know how she saw it, but she was obviously paying more attention than me, and she took a photograph of it and she's going to paint it. She's a painter. So it was just like, and then it opened my eyes to the beauty in the little, circular shell of this beautiful snail that I would have never, ever seen,
Well, sometimes it takes us all
Yes.
to see things and to talk about. That's maybe why one of the reasons we do the show is so that, all of us can come together and share what we're seeing, what we're feeling, what we're noticing, what we're hearing around us, so that, we can,
living life with the senses. I think that is, like, one of my friends said that to me, like experiencing life with all the senses, and it just, seeing it, feeling it, hearing it, all the different things. And I think it's so important. And just as you said, sharing it and allowing people to see more and feel more is pretty cool.
It is, because then you realize how big everything is around you, and what part you play, and how connected we all are to each other. And I think, and for me, listening is the sense of all senses, because all the senses around us are telling us something, are sharing information with us. And so our job, I feel, is to tune in to what
And I
that
think
is.
the more we tune in, the more we feel. And I
Absolutely.
think that's so important. And that's, when we can share that with each other versus just going through life and not feeling, just as this kind of like, sometimes you get in this zone and you just don't even, hear, see, feel anything. But I think the more that we pay attention to things, we feel it, we share it, and we can share those
Absolutely.
experiences.
And it's fun.
It's
fun. So you have started a new project, right? What I thought was fascinating. So would you tell everybody what that is? And
Sure.
remember something. So Elizabeth is doing this here, but what she is talking about is a global endeavor, a global experience. It's from home to home, wherever you are. So what are you doing?
Yeah, so I kind of merged two of my biggest passions. Growing up, my grandmother lived on a farm. My grandparents did, and she used to cook on this big, beautiful cast iron wood burning stove. And I just always remember the smells and the tastes and things that she would make in that kitchen. And I never really had an opportunity to learn to cook. I just kind of figured it out on my own. I experimented when I was a kid, made cakes and learned to make bread. And then photography became my career. But all of a sudden, I was sitting in this art gallery, Rebus Gallery in downtown Raleigh, and she had asked me to do a photography workshop a couple summers ago. And I noticed that she had a kitchen in the back. And I asked her if there's any way that I could merge, doing cooking and photography. And that just kind of blew up it like blew up into this idea of farm to table. I mean, I am vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for 30 years. And I really love local, and I love meeting farmers and just the whole experience of it. So going to farms and photographing what they see and picking on their own and seeing where food comes from and learning about the process and really creating art from these beautiful vegetables that we eat every day, and then cooking with them and creating really wonderful recipes that are not just a grilled cheese with a tomato that so many kids, people try to simplify it and, kids can only make quesadillas or grilled cheese or pancakes, but there's so many things kids can try. And the more they try, and when they use the ingredients that they're picking and photographing, they experiment, and it's such a fun project. So we started this whole thing called Click and Cook. So it's farm to table vegetarian cooking and photography. And they photograph the whole process from the farm to the table, and then they blog about it. And so it's this just beautiful combination of writing and documenting and cooking. And we really focus on unusual recipes. Like,
something just hit me when you said that. And I'm thinking, when you take the picture,
mm-hmm.
it's almost like you're giving birth
Mm-hmm.
to this fruit or
Mm-hmm.
this vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
You're like giving birth to it. So you're beginning the process
Yep.
of this relationship with this vegetable.
Right. And it's a relationship. The whole, when you really think about cooking and eating,
It's cool.
and it's just like building this relationship with this, thing that becomes part of you. It's, building your immune system and your body. And
so starting with and so we're going to talk about the kids too, because the kids,
they're awesome.
They're awesome. And they really are fantastic. I mean, I have a couple myself, but so when you're photographing,
mm-hmm.
describe that process.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? Because anybody, you may take a picture, or you may take a picture through your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process of looking at these fruits and vegetables to kind of take it in and connect with it, I guess is what I'm asking.
So I first look for light, in the way light hits things. So I take the kids out a lot of times and, tell them not to take pictures right away, just to experience the way it looks, and try to show them. So many times you just think of taking a picture from the front, you don't even think like, oh my gosh, what does it look like if I get under the plant and the sun is coming through the leaves and you can see all the veins of the leaves? And so I really try to get them to see differently, and to, we try to get out at times of day where the light is different too. It's, really early in the morning or late afternoon. So it's not just overhead sun, but overhead sun can be really nice as well. Mm-hmm. So really paying attention to the different way the sun hits things, and also paying attention to, like, if it has rained the night before, like how beautiful those big droplets are on the leaves or on the vegetables.
And how to smell enter into the picture.
Yeah. So, just experiencing the smell of the soil and being out there. It really does. When you're out on a farm, there's so many different smells, whether it's a smell of like a fruit coming off a tree, or there's just the soil because you're walking on it. And, oops. My wish is coming true.
We had a little flash of light.
The power is...
And it was an oops. I can't help reality. You can't help live either. Yeah. So how you're describing this is really fabulous. Maybe before we get into that detail, how does clicking manifest itself in creating this relationship? With the end result, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like, what is so fabulous about the end result of what you're left with in the recipe? Considering the steps. We're going to go into the steps, but sure. I think I want to know about the end result. Like, what does it do to all of that?
I think, documenting something from, just looking at a tomato to what it becomes in the end. It's telling its story. It's like what you do. It's, but in photographs. So you have this beautiful tomato, and sometimes they do still life. Sometimes they, photograph it on the vine, and creating, just this beautiful thing from something organic. And then and then maybe showing it cut apart into pieces and the seeds on top of a cutting board that's got that texture. So he's got these dimensions. And then, the end product of this beautiful plated dinner that they created. And I think it's art. It's it has a lot of different dimensions. It's
And what about the flavor? How does it affect the flavor?
I mean, I think anything that you start from that you've seen and you've picked and you've created something out of it, it just boosts that flavor. And I think that kids really enjoy that process. And I think they're way more willing to try something they've never tried before when they've created it. Like I had a little girl who did not like eggs. And we went and picked the eggs from my friend Helen's garden, or her chickens. And then we made souffles, which, people don't think kids can make a souffle. They're so fun and they're fluffy and they're not just like scrambled eggs on a plate. They're these beautiful creations. And then I remember what she wrote about it because I just read it the other day. She's like, it's like eating puffy bread, it's not like an egg. And she's like, it was so good. And just to like give these kids something that they, people don't think that they would experience, or they're too young to experience. It gives them that kind of that excitement about food. And I have that. I've always had that excitement, so I love sharing that excitement with kids.
Well, I have,
the way they react.
my daughter, I was telling Elizabeth, my daughter is moving and moved into my little townhouse with my husband, with her husband and 2 babies for 2 weeks. And I have had the pleasure of watching my 4-year-old, and he is amazing, eating and all these things, and just observing how he loves like flavors. I mean, it's amazing to me. He loves it.
Yeah. And they love to like really get their hands in it. I think that's so important, that texture. We do use a lot of eggs, and letting the kids, like for souffle, you have to separate the eggs and letting them do it in their hands so that they are feeling that yolk and the texture, the egg through their hands. And when they're sifting flour, like so I use this organic local flour from Lindley Mills in North Carolina. And just letting them touch that flour that feels so different from just a regular flour. Oh my gosh, it's so light and airy and just soft.
I've never just focused on touching flour.
Yeah, and you let them, and that's part of the whole experience, is letting them feel it and touch it and experience like how different things feel. And looking at like the tomatoes that come out of the garden that are fresh versus like the one that came from California that is perfect and whatever. Like they're not perfect. They're beautiful. They're dark red, just showing them the vegetables have more nutrients the more intense they are. And so when they're fresh and they're heirloom and they're grown locally, there's just so many benefits to it. So it's fun to kind of let them see that and teach them about that.
So, I'm sitting here and of course I'm visualizing a tomato, but I'm also thinking about the process. So they're clicking. I mean, they're going, they're observing, they're taking it in, they're choosing.
They're tasting. Like we'll go to the farmer's market and they'll taste things, and we'll go through the whole farmer's market. We try to go to different ones, not just like there's so many small ones now that are a little bit even more. We're really trying to focus on like no pesticides and that kind of thing. And there's more and more doing that now, but they'll let you taste it. And so, especially at the big farmer's market, they'll go to 3 different places and try the different things and decide which ones they like the best, like the peaches. Which peaches were
And
the
do
best?
do you believe that the actual shot reflects the choice of what
yeah.
and how?
I mean, I just think, the passion that they have by, picking things and thinking
And how
about,
they lay it out.
right.
Or how they,
Oh my gosh, how they lay it out. I mean, watching them put together a little still life of the things that we brought back from the farmer's market, and we'll do it out in natural light, or we'll put it on a farmer's table, or we'll, do it in a bowl where they, have, and it's so much fun. And they like get up on chairs and they do it from above or they do it from below, and they really experiment with it.
So ultimately, I mean, is it practical to think that people will do this every time they want to buy food or go or create recipes or, eat? Are they gonna, I mean, do you do this?
Yeah.
With your food normally?
A little bit. I mean, I tend to, I don't photograph it a whole lot. Like
but I mean, even just the enjoyment,
yes.
just well, you do that.
Yeah. I've loved food, and I do I literally just, I relish in, what I eat.
Do you eat slow?
Sometimes. It depends.
Is that part of the process?
It is. And I
It
think
is?
appreciating all the different things that you make and just, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just,
I mean, because these are. I mean, this is a unbelievable thing to talk about because we don't normally talk about things like this, and we
Right.
don't usually break them down
right.
to this degree. And I am really breaking it down.
Mm-hmm.
It is fascinating, and it's not just for kids.
No, and that's
You
the
know?
fun part. Like I have had a lot of adults that are like, I want to do the,
Mm-hmm.
photography and cooking together because it could be for anyone. And just so many people I think get in a rut, and kids too. Like you eat the same thing every day. And I think what I want to do is really show people that there's so many options. Like I don't even like to cook the same thing twice because there's like, you look on the internet or we just did a little dinner party. One of my students and we planned a dinner party for her family, and that was one of our workshops. And we went to the library and we got 10 cookbooks, and we just put together a menu from the library and just looking through the photographs and trying to figure out, what's local
How
and
long
in
did it
season.
take?
It was a 3-day workshop. So we did like the first day was, going and getting the books and just spreading. We sat outside and just spread them all out and tried to decide what we felt like, would go together. And then,
So how do you incorporate that into your everyday
for me personally,
or anybody?
I think just, again, it's kind of like the eyes wide open, slowing down and thinking and trying instead of, and going to the grocery store a lot and just kind of seeing what's fresh or the farmer's market. I think going to the farmer's market is the biggest one is, see what's local and see what's there and then create something with it versus the other way
Right.
around. Like I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to do chicken tonight. And then, maybe they don't get any further than that. Like we always do chicken and broccoli or whatever. But I think like there's so many vegetables, like pick something new and figure out what's,
Even just
what you
one
can do
little,
with it.
even just one thing.
Yeah, just experiment. And then the thing is making mistakes. Like it's okay to make mistakes. Like let's say it doesn't work. So you try something else. And I think that's another thing. People are busy and they're afraid to spend time because they just think it's going to take too long. But it doesn't have to take long. Like I think one of my favorite cookbooks is Fresh Food Fast. And it's all vegetarian within like 20 minutes. And it's all really, really good.
It's fun because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and I went to the farmer's market last year, the year before, whatever. I would look and I would see these gorgeous, like cauliflowers
Mhm.
or broccolis
Mhm.
that were funky colors.
Yes. Like
Right.
yellow ones.
Yellow
and-
ones
Mhm.
and the ones that had funny shapes. I
Yeah.
just wanted to plop them on my table.
Exactly.
They were so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess it's fun to taste them and see if they're different.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It doesn't have to be the whole meal.
Right.
Just it could be
Even do a
just-
tomato
yeah.
tasting, like pick out 4 different tomatoes because they have, there's tomatoes that taste, smoky. There's tomatoes that are more juicy. There's tomatoes that are just more watermelony, like there's just, everyone's going to be like, let's go have lunch after this.
But what does this do for you in your life? That's the point. So it's like, we've talked about so many things on this show, and this is just another avenue to experience life.
Yeah.
that
And
anybody
arts
can
and-
do.
Yeah. And it's about appreciating and just thinking about it versus it becoming kind of robotic, I think
Yeah.
is what it is. It's like, think about it. It doesn't have to be every day, but even if once a week, you just kind of appreciate it a little slower and you think about it a little bit more and bring your family into it. I think kids love to cook. And I think so many parents are like, oh, you're
They
going to
do.
mess up the kitchen or that's going to be too complicated. But
That's what
letting
I
them-
was told.
Yeah, me too. And it's like, who cares? So just clean it up. Like, no big deal. Or make them clean it up. Like, just let them experiment and just have fun and, help them with the stove or whatever. But like, and there's so many kids with allergies now. So this little girl that I work with a lot she's gluten-free and she is pretty much vegan. She does eat some meat, but no cow dairy or anything. So that's been really fun for me is teaching her how to make really creative, amazing food gluten-free. We made pasta, we made from scratch, and that's like the whole process of making pasta. Everyone's so intimidated. It's not hard,
That's
and-
what you say. But
I'll teach-
I boil pasta that's gluten free, and you know what happens when you make a mistake?
yeah,
And
it's gummy.
It's
Yeah.
glunks. I
Yeah.
mean, it just clumps together. So make it from scratch.
We
I mean,
did.
I can't
It's
even make
so
it in a
good.
pot. Because it's like Al dente is
Yeah.
So, I have a young woman that I know, and some of you might know my friend Debbie, who passed away, but her daughter-in-law, Rebecca, is a therapist, and she has combined cooking and her therapy practice because she has couples coming in and they're cooking
Oh, I
together.
love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think it's like there's the collaborative nature of people cooking together is really fun. I mean, it just takes, it
Yeah.
also takes the pressure off of having to do the thing from start to finish. If you have people, someone cutting up, someone
Yeah.
cleaning up after you messed up that cutting board, and having music on and just celebrating it it's a fun thing to do with friends, with your
Well,
family.
what do you say to people who say, "I work all the time, I have no time"? I mean, this
Well, you have
seems
to
like
want to do it. I mean, you can't, if it's not your interest, you're not going to do it. But I think that if you love food and you want to either save money and not be eating out all the time, eat healthier, eat organic, and
and you can
support
do that
local.
cheaper.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's,
You can do it cheaper.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it takes a little more time, but it's a little bit of thought process. But you can, I mean, when you're eating fresh, you almost don't even have to do anything. Like if you're cutting
Right.
up a
It's
tomato,
true.
you can just eat it on, you could just get a thing of pasta and put that tomato on it, and it's perfect the way it is, a little
Right,
salt and
right.
pepper.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
to fix it up a little bit and try a souffle with some roasted peppers that you get, the peppers at the farmer's market, like that, just the kaleidoscope of different flavors and hotness, and oh my gosh, it's just like
I mean, you're making my mouth water. I don't know about everybody
it's
out
fun. It's so fun.
there. So listen, you are welcome to call in 919-518-9773 or connect with us on Skype at Computers 2K Voice. You can join us in our chat and ask questions, comment, whatever you like. If you've tried something, if you've eaten something crazy, whatever it is, we want to hear about it. So we have some slides that we want to show also that Elizabeth has, been experiencing with her kids and in general. So why don't let's do this first one.
So the first one is one of my students. This is the one who's been gluten-free, and just one of the things that kids and families find is gluten-free bread is really hard to get right. And so this is the owner of Fresh Levant Bakery in North Raleigh, and she has a whole restaurant that is gluten-free. And so Sarah, I just wanted to take Sarah there because she could eat anything she wanted from the menu. And she just looked at the menu and she was so excited because she just, it just opens your whole world. It's just, and so the owner came and spoke to us, and she told us how she came upon opening this bakery and making pita bread that's so beautiful and tender, and told Sarah about what she went through to kind of get to that recipe, and then took Sarah through tour of the kitchen, and we ate everything from appetizer through dessert. And it was just wonderful. And that's the thing, again, like connecting to the local people around you that have experienced different things to open
Do you
your
find
mind.
people are friendly?
Oh, they're so friendly. Anyone who likes food, I swear, like they just want to talk about it and share. And I mean, that's the enjoyment of cooking, is most of it is like giving it to someone and having them love it and just having them experience that. I mean, it's the big part of why I think people do it.
I actually love that restaurant as well.
Yeah.
We haven't chatted about that, but that is my favorite restaurant
So
to
good.
go to. Yes, because I am gluten-free, and then my daughter is vegan. Not vegan, but she's dairy-free now and also gluten-free. But anyway, it's delicious.
It is really
and
good.
it is amazing what you can do when you do it.
It is just putting your mind to it.
It's delicious, and they're baking. I mean,
Yeah.
for cakes that are dairy-free, gluten-free, you would think you're eating like just the best chocolate hazelnut cake you can ever eat. The one that I would want to eat all day long.
Exactly, which is part of the whole thing, is like not missing out. Like when you have a food allergy, like for so long you missed out on all those flavors and textures, and now finally with people are passionate, so they're learning how to make it, so you're not missing out on that.
And I'll tell you what, and please don't think badly of me, but for my birthday, I don't think I told too many people this, so you're hearing this, but for my birthday back in February, one of the things I wanted to do was take my coffee from home, which I love, and go sit outside of Fresh Levant and eat a pastry.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
I did that. I went inside because I don't eat those things normally, and I went in was the biggest treat. I took it to my car and woofed it down because it was so good,
so
and I don't get
good.
to
I
eat it, and it was
know,
delicious.
yeah.
I mean, what were you gonna say?
That's where I mean, in the last year or so, I started enjoying making bread.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I want to get something that's more healthy. So you
Mhm.
start playing with the whole wheat
Yep.
and the multigrain, and they don't rise.
Uh,
And reading, what I've been doing lately is adding wheat gluten
uh-huh.
to it, and boy, it comes up. So I guess I'm going the other way around. Instead of gluten free, you add gluten to it to make it
right. But there's
rise.
got to
But
be something they're using that makes it rise.
Yeah,
And
not in the
yeah,
gluten-free. There
'cause
is
they
it's
rise.
like I can't remember what it is because I haven't made the bread yet. But
I mean, I was
sorghum.
reading, and there were things to put the water that you wash the potatoes with.
yeah, yep.
Oh, is that true?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean,
Which is like
I tried.
What do you mean? Washing
like you boil
Yeah.
potatoes and then use
Yeah,
the potato
you-
water afterwards.
and that
for-
helps make the bread rise?
I don't know.
That
but-
supposedly, yeah.
Oh.
There was the gluten. There was use more yeast, but when I tried that, and it was a big disaster.
And why are you making bread?
Because I like
because
to.
it's fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You like eating. I mean, I love bread.
I know.
Me
I
too.
don't. I don't eat it much. I eat one slice a day.
Oh my God, I would never be able to control myself.
No, no. You
Well,
you have
okay, I
to.
do have to tell you my favorite bakery. If you haven't been, is Bolted Bread in downtown
But it's
Raleigh.
not gluten free.
No, but it's local
Yeah.
wheat, so it's
Okay.
and they grind it in house. So a lot of people who have gluten allergies can eat it
Oh.
because it's So yeah,
Well,
yeah.
So because I would not hot bread and me in the same room could not last.
Mhm.
I would.
I know. Well, that's what
just
my
could not
grandmother
make
used to
it.
make
I
homemade
can't-
bread
I
in that
can't
oven.
eat that
You
much.
can't
I mean,
eat that much.
it turns into sugar right
Oh
away.
my God! But I love bread and butter.
Uh-huh.
Bread and butter.
I mean, that's what made me start cooking as a kid. My grandmother making homemade bread in that wood burning oven, and as kids, we cut it and then we take a little tool and just toast the edges over the wood fire, and then melt the butter over it. And then we go sit behind the wood stove and eat it, where it was warm. And it was like the best experience growing up. I mean, it was that's just what kicked my cooking thing.
Memories.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, because my grandmother used to make challah, which is a Jewish braided bread, and I can remember, being at her house, before the weekend would start, and I mean, you just want to eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, and you do have those smelly,
Yes.
beautiful
Yes.
memories of your grandparents.
Yeah, and I think that's what our generation, has lost a lot of that cooking part. I think it's coming back. But me growing up, I always wanted to cook, and I had this little Holly Hobbit oven, and I would run out of the little boxes, and I'd be like, "Oh, I still want to cook," and I'd have to wait till Christmas to get another one. And so, I think this is part of what I want to I'm doing for kids what I wanted as a.
That's
as an-
interesting you would say that. So you're saying that your generation, and I think you're younger than I am, but your generation is not cooking.
I think they are more, but I think, we have so many restaurants and we're so busy and I just I really want kids to have that control. Like I want them to be able to, do it for themselves if they want to do it. Like, especially if they have allergies and they don't want to eat the same thing every day. They want to try something new and also just open their minds to new things and new recipes. Like we did Korean pancakes one day with all these fresh vegetables, and we made a sauce on the side. And in fact, I wrote down a couple of things. Just we did the gluten-free pasta, and we did a corn carbonara. So there was no dairy in it. It was fresh corn that we creamed and we made into a sauce.
How long did it take you to do that?
I mean, it took a day to probably do all the cooking.
A day?
Not a whole day, but like 4 hours or something. And we did like the dessert the day, like some of the stuff prep the day before. So that's a whole learning experience too. Like if you're going to have a dinner party, like coming up with a menu, figuring out what has to be made first. And for kids, it's really fun. Like, I mean, we actually printed out the menu and had them on the table and, just presented with candles and
write me, and we're all going to get invited to Elizabeth's, and she's going to cook for everybody.
I will
because
do that.
I know a whole day, but you don't have to do
No.
that to that degree.
No.
But you can experiment and enjoy, and it's like opening up a gift.
Yeah.
when you're doing it and,
And-
how it tastes.
And
how it
don't be
turns out.
intimidated by making mistakes. That's the thing. Like you watch those cooking shows and everybody makes mistakes. It's just like something, the oven's on too hot or you forget about something and sometimes you have to do it over. Like we experimented with one of my classes making fortune cookies from scratch where the kids all wrote the fortunes and we
Wow.
made the batter and they just didn't work out. So in my little cookbook that I brought with me, I titled it Misfortune Cookies instead. So they tasted really good, but they just didn't work.
So this is so I don't know if everybody can see this. So you created a cookbook.
It's a little cookbook with Raleigh kids that I worked with the first summer. This was the first workshops that I did. And they all signed the back of it. So it's kind of fun. The back of the cookbook has a local source guide for all the different farmers that we used and also farmers markets. And the cookbook is a mixture of, it's got my grandmother's donuts recipe in it. It has photographs that the kids took. And it also has family recipes from some of my students, like a Lebanese rooted chickpea salad.
and
then
that's
this
on
is
your
actually,
website.
it will be tomorrow.
Okay.
I think it is,
Tell
but it's
everybody
like
what
not.
your website is.
Yeah, it's
just for-
www.elizabethgalecke.com.
So it would. Okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
Elizabeth does portraits and family pictures and that's how I found Elizabeth to begin with. Many years ago, I went into a coffee shop locally, and I was in awe of the shots that I saw on the wall of children. I thought, oh my God, who is this woman? So as it turns out, it was Elizabeth. But anyway, you have to see her website and see what she does.
Yeah.
So what's the next shot?
So this is one of my students' photographs of tomatoes at the farmer's market and just how gorgeous. I mean, look at I love like the composition and just like the color of that blue against all those really beautiful oranges and reds.
That's a beautiful,
Isn't
that
it?
could
Just
be
piece of art.
That could be a shot that somebody would buy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So that's the other thing is we actually did an exhibition of the kids' photographs a couple summers ago, and I printed out one or two of each of their photographs, and then we did a little exhibition at a children's bookstore in downtown Raleigh, and we sold the cookbooks there as well. So really getting them to see like the business side and letting them create. And in our workshops, I help them learn to do the editing, like they edit on software and then they put it on the blog. And then I have one of my students, this Sarah again, she's just amazing. And she did a cookbook on tomatoes. A calendar for all her family. So we designed this calendar because tomatoes are her favorite. So we each page was a different tomato photograph and a recipe. And she gave them out to her friends and family for the holiday.
There's a lot of people that look for things to do with their kids during the summer.
Exactly. And this is kind of where it started.
This is a great, parent. I was going to say mommy, but it may not be the mommies
It could
all
be
the time.
a nanny. It could be a friend or an
daddy,
aunt.
grandma, whoever, sister, brother. But this is a great, something to do with kids during the summer. If you have some at home and you want something to do, this is a really good. A great project.
Yeah. I have somebody who wants to have her son come in and do a workshop with me, and then he would cook their anniversary dinner. And how sweet would that be? I just think that's such a great idea. I think, having families kind of, work together and come up with ideas of how to.
But we're so busy.
I know.
I think that's, we're talking a lot about, all of these things. And I just think that we're so busy that this is just, one meal a week.
Right.
That
or even a month. Like, you don't have to start huge, but just
just something
slow down and
that
appreciate
interrupts the normal day-to-day, everyday kind of thing that just, kind of puts a halt to what we're doing.
And really like starting with going to somewhere other than just the regular grocery store. It is such a different experience. Chapel Hill, Carbonara, all, in any city, there's going to be one farmer's market and then there's going to be 20 or, maybe not 20.
Especially these days.
Yeah, other small ones and really jumping to different ones and meeting and talking to the farmers. Because, there's a farmer's market in Durham that I went to that this woman had like 10 different kinds of mushrooms. And I had never seen them. And I was like, well, what are the differences? And she told me about them. And this one tastes this way. This one is, tastes like something like an oyster, the oyster mushroom. And they have different textures. So you use them for different things, but it's just, and they're gorgeous. I mean, it's just.
And I do believe, and I have that vegetables and fruit bought at a farmer's market last longer.
It does, because it doesn't travel as long. It doesn't sit so long.
And you get fuller more quickly. It takes less food when you're eating that way. I mean, it takes less of a tomato. I mean, you know what I mean? Because the flavor is so rich.
Right.
You don't need as much.
Right. No, I do think it is like, it definitely tastes way different. I mean,
way different. Way different. So there is something, I mean, there is something to say, but it's about that slowing down.
Yeah.
That's, being with family, being with friends, doing it for yourself, whatever that looks like. It's so important because we are going so fast, and it is really important, and it's not a bad thing that there's so many things to enjoy out here, that, it's a cause for us to want to gobble things up and be involved here and be involved here. And you can stay connected this way. You can stay connected that way. It's not a bad thing, but there's still time for something like this as well.
Yeah.
And I think
you just have
the
to make
idea.
the time.
You just have to make the time.
And it's a priority. It's just something that you choose to do, and you just, think of it as something fun and creative and, an art. I mean, it's an art from this, like food is art, like from the start to the.
So when you're talking about art, talk to people out there who know art, but who don't understand art.
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, I think it's
because we take art for granted, but we take art that is, it's art. But what does that mean?
I think it's seeing something differently and noticing it. And I think people take it too seriously. I think it's just like cooking. People don't do it because they're intimidated by it as art the same way. Like, just pay attention, and what does it mean to you? And you can express that in whichever way you want. And I think that's art. Art is expressing something that's.
The other thing that got me when you were talking about this and the kids writing is how descriptive are they becoming?
Very. It's fun to hear what they've
combination
experienced.
Of words and things that they're figuring out.
And it's fun to hear how they've experienced it different than how you see them experiencing it. Like, they'll write about something and you'll be like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Or I didn't even notice that. And they see it. So that's why I love, like, at the end of each workshop day, I just let them sit quietly and write. And, we've edited their pictures, and then they write about the day to describe it. And we kind of put links to the recipes. So if people see the pictures and they want to try the recipe, they can find it. And so, also like thanking whoever we've found the recipe from, because there's some amazing cookbooks out there. And I love to be able to let people know.
So what are you doing there?
So yeah, this was taken. One of my longtime students, Ray, she helped me with a workshop. She is somebody who I mentored when she was 9, and now she's 16. And she helped me one day with a workshop, and she took this picture of me. So she's always capturing me in all kinds of like crazy things. We were making probably some kind of dough. I'm guessing it was like galettes or tarts or something.
That's great.
And this is Alice Henman. So she is a beekeeper in Raleigh, and she keeps hives on top of a bunch of rooftops in Raleigh restaurants. And then she has a hive at the Raleigh City Farm. And so we went to visit the Raleigh City Farm, which is one of the places that I take the kids to learn and to pick and to purchase vegetables. And we bought some honey, or I think that time she gave us some honey. But they were able to go up right to the bees, and she explained why they're important. I mean, that's the part of like letting kids know, like, so many kids, their whole, like, all they think of as bees is like, oh my gosh, they're just going to sting me,
right.
But they're so important to nature and like why. And so she taught them why and showed them how to come right up to a beehive and be able to photograph it from right in front of it, and not get stung, and and just teach them that they're.
I'd love to have her on the show.
You would love her. She's amazing.
I
will for sure. Yeah.
So she has hives on top of restaurants.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Garland and Raleigh,
and so who gets the honey? She goes there and gets the honey for the restaurants.
Well,
it's
restaurants more about just getting more bees into the environment.
Oh, okay. So it's not for the restaurant necessarily.
No,
Okay, it's just
it's just
a place
for the hives.
And why does she need places hives?
That's a good question. I think because we don't have as many bees anymore, and we need more bees, and so she's trying to get more bees in the environment. And
But why on top?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Safe places, and I think like on top of a restaurant, people aren't gonna be around them all the time.
Some places the bees may go, and some they may not. Some places they do
Right.
good, sometimes they may not.
Because it is liquid gold.
Yes, and her honey.
Oh
So she
my
she does harvest the honey on, I think, maybe from her hives and her own personal space. And it's called Girl Honey, and it's really good. So we the first time we got honey from her, we used it as a glaze on our donuts for our class. And I just got some more recently from a fundraiser she did, so I'll be using that this week.
I mean, it is. I bought some from not somebody here, but somebody like out of Charlotte or somewhere who does all flavors with honey,
Yes,
pumpkin,
lavender,
and I bought a bourbon honey.
Oh yeah,
and put it on top of salmon.
Yep,
and it was
it's so good,
delicious.
Yeah,
and it comes out so beautiful.
And they say that honey that's sourced close to where you live or where you're living is healthier for you because of all the things that different things that the bees are carrying back to that hive. So like if you have allergies, apparently it's supposed to be really good for you.
Local. Good. Well,
so this little boy is one of my students, and so this is kind of like the end product. So we went and we bought we made we made pasta with this local, I think it was like a kale pesto. So we had kale growing in the garden. We made kale pesto, and then he photographed it, and then we printed a photograph for him to take with him. So it's kind of like the whole experience. It's adorable.
It is. There's more control in picking your food. And not succumbing to whatever is around. But there is more control in making the decision of what you're going to eat and what you're not going to eat. And, all of that. There's more control. I mean, we want control, and this is a great place to be responsible with your control.
Yeah,
basically. It is. So, you
That's
good?
it.
We're good?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, no more slides, right?
No more slides.
Now with a real slide.
Not
Okay, so what's next in this project or on this path for you?
That's a good question. So I think I want to just keep exploring, working with the kids and broadening it, like doing the dinner parties, maybe doing some more exhibits, letting the kids make products with their, like books, calendars, artistic, end products with what we do. And then I would love to work with adults. Like I've been saying that for a while, and I think
why not? Why aren't you?
Oh, I just haven't organized. I haven't gotten it together.
Why is it different?
I don't know. I think because it happens. Most people are available at night, and I think, but I just haven't figured out how to kind of balance that with working every day, and I'm working on weekends a lot, so it's just the logistics.
But the workshop itself would be the same.
Similar. I don't know how much, I don't know if people would be just as much interested in the documentary project of the food and everything.
They probably just want to eat it.
They just want to eat it, yeah. Drink wine, cook, learn to cook. But that's okay.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Have that experience.
Exactly.
It is fun.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I was just talking to my friend this morning about this, is doing these travel, like going and doing traveling workshops where it's photography and food related, and like helping people learn about that in different cities.
Trip, click, and cook.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And it was funny because it could be cook and click.
Yes,
but it was click and cook
first.
So trip, click, and cook.
Yeah.
So like traveling to different parts of the
world.
Country, world,
yeah,
whatever.
And just different cultures and different foods and
eating with different people,
eating and cooking and experiencing that in different places.
When I used to own a furniture store, and we used to sell dinettes and outdoor furniture and things like that, I had a slogan that we sold the thing that kept people together. Because around the kitchen table, that's where people would come back together always. And it's still a really good line. You know what I mean? It's still a good line because these are the opportunities. Yesterday when I had my book launch and I had the Millennials up, on the panel and an audience and people, I could have really shut up and people were just so interested in
Mhm.
what. I mean, everybody, the millennials in the audience, the multi-generations in the audience, just so interested in what people have to say
Yeah.
that we could have gone on and on and on because we want to come together.
Yes.
And food is such a trigger of
Yeah.
joy and happiness.
And it's historical, you know,
And
it's like what people
historical.
have done to come together
Yes.
forever, you know,
Yes.
it's like what
Yes.
connects us. And so,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, like last week we had a guest on who, Sarah Chisholm, I can't remember her last name, but she lives as though she's back still in the Victorian
Oh, wow.
era, and she cooks that way, and she
Mhm.
has recipes in her books that are Victorian.
Cool.
And so she makes waffles, whatever it
Mhm.
is that she's doing, and it is fascinating.
Yeah.
About what turns people on and
Mhm.
what is exciting, and gives you that edge, that little happy edge
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Just
And you have to
yeah.
eat. So like, why
Yeah,
not
you
make
have
it
to eat.
exciting? You know, like why,
Absolutely.
I just don't understand people that are like, I just eat the same thing every day. I don't really care about, like, I just can't, I know that like, that's
Mhm.
fine for some people, but it's just a whole different thing for me.
Mhm. And maybe people do care, but I think that the issue is sometimes we just don't give ourselves an opportunity to take really good care of ourselves
Mhm.
and express our caring
Mhm.
and be okay with the fact that we can care, and it's okay to be. It's like it's not special
Right.
to care.
Right.
It's our right
Right.
to care.
And I do think making it special every day, like,
Yeah.
why not? Or, I mean,
why
even if it's
not?
not every day, but like as much as you can, like
Absolutely.
life is short. Like, why not?
Right. And it feels really good. My husband and I, we don't normally spend a lot of time cooking,
Mhm.
but we like to eat good food.
Yeah.
And when we come home at night from working, from exercise, and we, sit down and eat
Mhm.
good vegetables and what fruit, fish, whatever we're eating. And it's so happy to sit there after an entire day.
Mhm.
And it could be 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Coming together and eating something
And sharing what
and
you did.
sharing.
Yeah.
I'm
like
excited.
yeah.
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 When it turns out good.
Mhm.
I mean, that shocks me. I'm happy when because spices turn out. I'm not using
Yeah. It
recipes.
feels good when you like
It
cook
feels
something that
really,
people
really
enjoy.
good.
Yeah.
It feels really good. So I would love to, see everybody out there kind of experiment a little bit. It could be breakfast. I mean,
Yeah.
breakfast also is an interesting meal
Mhm.
to prepare for and have fun with.
Yeah.
But now we've got such beautiful fruits, and we
Mhm.
have berries, and we have all these things that add color
Mhm.
to what we're doing. And
Mhm.
I think also little things, like even lighting a candle,
Oh yeah, for sure.
having
Putting
put-
your water in a pretty glass. Like
yeah,
that's the one thing. Like
Yeah.
whenever we eat with my students, we have nice, tableware, and they put their, they get to drink their lemonade that they've made from scratch in a wine glass because it's just feels special.
and it does taste different.
It does.
I mean, it literally tastes different than it would in just a plastic cup.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Right?
I mean, and that's part of the whole sensory experience. Like drinking out of plastic is completely different than drinking out
And
of a
how does
glass.
that happen, though? How is it different? I mean, it is
Well,
different, but I don't know how it is different.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's again the sensory, like
Mhm.
something that's, plastic, it just has a smell and it's
Right.
not,
Just enjoy it. Otherwise, you're going to ruin it.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. There's when you chill something,
Mhm.
it tastes different when it's in a glass than when it's in plastic.
Yeah.
And there is a difference.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why.
Well, and it's also the same thing as like eating off of a paper plate versus
which I do a lot of.
Well, it's all right. It's fast,
I'm
but
bad with paper plates because but anyway, yeah, it does. It is different, and it is different. I remember one day we were at my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's house and spent the night, and we got up the next morning and my brother-in-law made breakfast and we ate in the dining room.
Yep.
And that I will never
Yes.
forget as being different
Yep.
than eating in
The kitchen.
the kitchen.
Yeah. Because so many times you save the dining room only for special
You don't
occasions.
have
But
to.
why? Like it's, like use it. Same with the china. Like I remember, growing up and like, oh, we can't use this. We can only use it because what if it gets broken? But then it sits there for 40 years. Like use the pretty things, like and if it gets broken,
Yeah, when I have parties at home, I am forever using my grandmother's things.
Mhm.
I love my mother's things.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
using,
Yeah.
and I'm klutzy, and I bang things.
Yeah.
So I'm conscious of taking it out gently, putting it on the table. I mean, I don't push
Hand
things.
washing it.
Yes, I don't put anything in the dishwasher, and I am clumsy, and I bump things, all the time. But it's such a pleasure to really to use those things that are passed down. I know a lot of people don't.
And even if you don't have that, just, we create, again, that's going back to like, okay, maybe you don't have something fancy, but like going to a thrift shop and finding one plate that you like,
absolutely,
or a yard
yes.
sale, an estate sale,
Yeah.
or something
Yep.
to, or that paper plate, decorating it with something alongside, like you can make a celebration out of it. Like you just have to think about it a little
And things don't have to match.
No.
Okay?
Never.
They do not have to match. You could set a table with different plates, different bowls,
different
different
chairs.
chairs, and it's just
Yeah.
it doesn't have to match.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you have any questions, what'd she say?
Deborah.
Deborah, my granddaughters and I always talk about what colors
of the rainbow are on the plate?
Oh,
okay.
That's cool.
That is cool.
That's a good thing to do. Yeah, that's excellent. Deborah, that's fabulous. That was a good comment. Okay, so last chance, 919-518-9773 or Computers 2K Voice on Skype, where you can join us in our chat and ask questions, make a comment, tell us what you're doing with your food, tell us what you do with your table. How are you enjoying things? How do you kind of make it a little special at night? You earned it, you deserve it, and whatever it is, just make it good. So I just wanted to show, so my two newest books, right? Listening to the Hearts of Millennials, and Just One Afternoon Listening to Hearts of Millennials, which is up on Amazon. It's a quick read. It's a very short book. You can read it, and it's packed with information about millennials, how they feel, how they think, their desires, and you will just love them. And I will tell you that they say a lot of the things that we all want to say. They're living by it. And they are just insightful, strong, powerful, clear, and they're fabulous. And the next book that should be published within the next month and a half or so, but it's getting close. In Just One Afternoon, listening to the hearts of people impacted by opioid addiction. So that will be coming up soon. And if you know anyone who is currently using and having a struggle and they would be willing to share for the book, I would be honored to have them in the book and share. So please let me know. You can contact me at marilynshannon.com. I would be, very honored, and they could be anonymous as well.
And
I can use
here's real quick from Chris.
Yeah.
Where can we find out more about Elizabeth's classes?
Yeah. So my website is probably the best place. I need to get it up there. I've been posting. Okay, awesome. I've been posting things on Facebook and Instagram. Oh, so we have an Instagram click and cook for just all the kids' pictures. So there's a link to my blog in there with the kids' things. Oh. Or the website, and I'm going to get more information up there today.
Would you ever consider doing something online?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you could with things like Zoom today, you can see people.
Yeah.
And
we mean I have to do this more often.
Well, you just have a class.
Yeah.
It could be 2 or 3 kids in Timbuktu, but
yeah,
you can all experience things together.
That's true.
It's like a virtual community of kids, right?
Yeah.
So final words.
Well, so one of the things I learned from one of my students is this really funny phrase. That's what I love about the kids. Like they'll say stuff and you're like, what does that mean? And they said, it slaps. And I was like, what is that? I've never heard it. It's really good.
Wow.
It slaps. So that's one of the things.
That's a good hashtag.
I know. I love that. It slaps.
It slaps. That's
Yeah.
a good hashtag. I love that.
Yeah, I love it too.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm
Yeah.
done. What do you think? Any final anythings from you?
No.
These kids are really terrific. I said this little grandson that's over, he's 4, and he came to me one day, he said, Grandma, can I clean? I said, well, we just cleaned. And he looked at me and said, yeah, but I do walls.
Oh my gosh.
And it
Can you come
just-
over to my house?
It was just so precious,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But they are, and they're very smart today.
They
And
are.
there's nothing you can't teach kids.
Or they can teach you.
And because you're teaching them, they are teaching you. So like Deborah was talking about her grandchildren, this is for anybody.
Yeah.
And everybody. And
Yeah.
it's a kind of a community family affair.
For sure.
So but I would love to see you do this online.
Okay.
I think you would. I
Yeah,
think
it'd
this
be
could be a
fun.
really fabulous thing to do, and it doesn't take that much more.
Yeah.
And you do cookies and things, right? You sell
Yes.
those
Yep.
during Christmas. So
Yes.
just briefly, just for a second, because we're about to be done, but
Uh-huh.
share about your cookies.
Okay, so this cookie recipe I came up with years ago, and I used to do as gifts for people, and it kind of got crazy to the point where I couldn't keep up with giving the gifts because they'd want 1 or 2 more dozen for friends. And they're again, that's a beautiful local flour, but it's a brown butter rosemary cookie, sandwich cookie with rosemary caramel in the center. Oh, and there's almond flour in it as well. So it's just a kind of nutty cookie
And
with
you
a little
sell it over
savory.
Christmas, right?
Yeah, I sell them just through Facebook.
So you're
it's just very
So you do these like pockets of things.
yes.
And that's really fun.
It is fun. It
It
keeps
is
it
fun.
exciting.
It keeps
I
it
just
exciting.
yeah, I love to yeah.
So it's great. So anybody, we all can like learn from Elizabeth.
Aw,
So anyway, I want to thank you for being
thank
here
you.
today. You're
It was
always a
fun.
pleasure.
You
Mwah.
are too.
Thank you. And everybody out there, thank you so much for being here
Yeah,
today and
thanks for-
enjoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say it.
Being here. Thanks for being here.
I'm not. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
And everybody on the chat, thank you. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.